kind of what you were saying with the Saints.
I saw Brian Baldinger's a former NFL player, NFL Network. He goes online and does these videos, and he really teaches me football. He had one yesterday on Lamar Jackson that was so good, and they ran this play twice. And nobody accounted for Lamar, and they made it look different. And Brian does, I don't know Brian, but he does a great job of breaking down film. And it's the point is football defenses aren't designed to defend a great athlete at quarterback because they want to double a receiver. There's certain situational areas where if a quarterback's fast, we don't have a defensive player who matches up. He's matched up on the receivers.
And traditionally, the best athlete does not play quarterback.
So that's why the league is becoming more of a scoring league. Rules, and you don't really want to have to face a quarterback who's faster than your safeties, linebackers, and corners.
I'd be interested to talk to some defensive coordinators who, like, moving forward, what is the plan for that? Because this is just a trend that's going to continue. The best athlete is now playing quarterback.
Well, you know what the plan is? When they're out of the pocket, hit them a little late, and hopefully psychologically they get tired of running. But by the way, that does work.
They penalize them for that now, too, so it's very risky.
Yeah, it's a risky. But one of the propositions is make sure you add a little elbow. Do that 4 or 5 times.
Put a little fear in them.
Yeah, and after about 3 years, guys are like, I'm going to stay in the pocket. I mean, there's really no way to stop it if it's done efficiently.
I mean, no. We talked to Aqib Talib yesterday. He's like, it's just, they hate it. Defenses hate going against running quarterbacks. It's very hard to account for them. And this weekend, they're going to be playing another running quarterback. So that'll be an exciting game, Eagles and Cardinals. So the Packers are currently in the top spot in the NFC and have everything working on offense. And Aaron Rodgers is very happy with the way his team is playing right now.
Yeah, we're playing great football. Now we can say it. We're 14 weeks in, 13 games and a bye. So, yeah, now we can say it. We're having, a lot of success on offense. I think we're number 2 in yards. Not sure where we're at in points per game. We're number 2 in third down percentage. Number 1 now in red zone.
You ever know someone who, is the worst person to be wrong around? Feels like if you say something and Aaron Rodgers knows you're incorrect, you're gonna get the most calm undressing by Aaron Rodgers. You're bragging about something and then you're like, oh,
well,
I was wrong and I got to run into this guy tomorrow.
Aaron also has this thing where he wants you to think he's cool and doesn't care about stuff. But he went on to talk about the GOAT thing, and he's got it all in his head. He just wants you to think he doesn't care about. When people say they don't care about stuff, they care more than they're willing to let on they care about stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't care about something, you just simply don't talk about it.
The idea that Aaron wouldn't care about some GOAT conversations, well, he's in some of those, so of course he cares.
And as he should.
Yes.
He's somebody who's going to leave a very storied legacy on the NFL. Of course he's thought about it.
Yeah.
And he's right. They are playing good football. I just love the way he talks about it. It's like, I would hate to be bragging to Aaron Rodgers about something and then find out later I was wrong. You're going to run into him the next day. He's definitely going to let you know. But they are atop the division and atop the NFC right now. The NFC playoff picture is kind of interesting because the in the hunt teams obviously we're not taking seriously at this point, but Vikings and Bears
the top of it's too good to take them seriously.
Yes, exactly. The Seahawks, Bucks, and Cardinals are in the wild card positions right now with a little bit left to play, and obviously Rodgers is having an incredible season.
Now I would say this: I think you really have to take the Seahawks seriously. I was texting with a member of the Seahawks last night, not going to give it out, and he said, "We're getting healthier. Watch out."
They're a real team. The Seahawks are just very inconsistent.
Chris Carson's healthy. Rashad Penny is supposed to play this week, so they'll have their top 2 running back talents and the 3 backup running back talents. Watch Seattle's run game starting this weekend.
So finally, as you just mentioned earlier, Giannis signed his 5 years.
Here we are. What a day. Let's argue. Live in Los Angeles, this is The Herd, wherever you may be. However you may be listening, we're on Fox Sports Radio, iHeartRadio, and FS1. Such a pleasure to be here today. Joy Taylor is joining me. Nick Wright, Joel Klatt today yell at me. How are you, Joy?
I'm great. We have our festive winter scene.
Yes.
Now, a little snow.
Herd for the holidays. Very nice. Our staff does a great job on this stuff.
They do.
So I've got a couple of things today, Joy, I want to start my show with. Let's start with number one. The college football playoff rankings came out today, and I don't care that Bama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State are the top four. Duh. It's why we don't need to expand the playoffs. I've been arguing this forever. There's never been more than really 3 teams in my life that I think can win it. This year, I really don't see. It's Alabama, Clemson to me. I don't think Ohio State's defense is good enough. But let's move on to the really important stuff to me, is that Florida has 2 losses, Georgia has 2 losses, and they're ahead of Cincinnati. And yes, they are better than Cincinnati. One of Florida's losses is to the 5th-ranked team in the country, Texas A&M. Yes, they are better, and that drives you crazy. Colin, why play the games? Well, games are important. But I always tell Joel Klatt this, and he is outraged, and you are outraged. Games are not 100% of it. I consider a lot of things. What college football is trying to do, and they are right for doing this, is to encourage the powerhouse schools to put it out there a little. Alabama, go play Oklahoma. Ohio State, go play Oklahoma. Texas, you go play a USC, a Miami out of conference. Put it out there, and we will not punish you. You can lose that game. We're not going to make it all about going undefeated. And that is the right thing to do. Because these schools control 30% of their schedules. And for the betterment of you, the consumer, and me, the media person, and the sport's overall health, you don't want Alabama playing Panera Bread 4 times a year. You want USC, you want Tennessee, you want LSU, Georgia. Notre Dame didn't have to schedule Georgia. They were 2 great games. And Notre Dame's going to do it again. Notre Dame's on Ohio State's schedule 2 times in the next 3 or 4 years. They're going to be underdogs in those games, but it makes the sport better. So I don't just look. We're trying to encourage that, not have all the big dogs petrified at records and ducking that so you get a September of college football that is just awful. 68-8. That's the first thing. I want Oregon-Auburn. A couple years ago in the opener, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix. Come on. I'm sitting there Saturday night like, how great is this? We're not even in conference play. The second thing about records is the Steelers had a better record than Buffalo. Who was a better team? The Browns had a better record than Baltimore on Monday Night Football. Who was obviously the better team? Records, even in the NFL, records don't mean anything. But we know they don't mean anything in college football. The 3 factors I consider have always been this. The games, watch the games. Do you win most of them? And what do you look like? Number 2, what conference are you in? Okay, 7-1 in the SEC is a hell of a lot harder than 7-1 in the Pac-12. And I live in LA and I'm a Pac-12 fan. You lose a game in the SEC or 2, you're playing in front of 104,000 people. Humid, crazy, you can smell bourbon in the air, and you lose by a field goal, and I'm supposed to be punitive against that? No, I'm going to be punitive if you lose a Pac-12 game on the road, played at noon in front of 41,000 people, where you can hear your coach talking the sidelines. So I watch the games. What is your conference? And I also pay attention to what is happening today. It is the early signing day today. What's your personnel look like? Who do you recruit? Cincinnati undefeated. They average 48th best recruiting class in the country. There has not been a national champion over the last couple of decades, not one that I can find, that was not a top 10 recruiting power. That hasn't happened in 20 years. I watch today. Today's big. I watch where all the best high school players go. The kids know who have the better players. They want to play with the better players. And you're all arguing about it as media and adults. The best quarterbacks in the country are going to the best schools because they want to throw to the best receivers and be protected by the best left tackles. The 17-year-old kids know where all the good players are. And you're trying to tell me Cincinnati's got more than Florida? Then why isn't Cincinnati beating Florida for players? Because the kids know where all the good guys are. So as an adult, try to be smarter than 18-year-olds because they're telling you where all the good guys go. By the way, if a kid didn't throw a shoe in the Florida game, we wouldn't be having these conversations. That's the only reason we're having them. Some young kid made a mistake and threw a shoe. But what we're trying to do in college football is encourage big games. Next 3 years, the Ohio State Buckeyes play Oregon, Notre Dame. Bama in the next 5 years plays Miami, Texas, Wisconsin, Florida State. We want more of that. You can't be totally beholden to records. Hell, you watched Sunday Night Football. The Steelers had the better record than the Bills. Who was better? Easily Buffalo. The Browns had the better record. This is the NFL over the Ravens. Who was better? If Lamar doesn't go out with cramps, that game's not close. You can't be beholden to records. Stop all the whining by the media. 18-year-old kids today are telling you they want to go play with the best players. And you're 48 and whining about Cincinnati's record. Grow up. By the way, Cincinnati has 2 great NFL players. They're brothers. Travis Kelce, Jason Kelce. I'm going to go with genetics over the power of Cincinnati football. Stop making arguments that 18-year-olds can figure out. 18-year-olds today are going to the best programs because they want to play with the best players. And the best players